Okay, I've just immediately started the next video. We'll get some matches played. Now, I spent quite a bit of time just looking through all the stats and the matches we'd played. We had those injuries. In particular to our right midfielder, who, if you've been watching the matches, he was really got a couple tens. He was hugely involved in a lot of play. A big deal for us, a big deal for the tactic. You know, we're pushing it down the right. A lot of it was, he was heavily involved. He's injured now, so we had to bring another right-sided player in. Now, we only had 2 right wingers, that's it. Both really young, both bad. So that's what it is. We also got a right back who's really slow and also really bad. We put him on the bench. We thought maybe we might bring him on to randomly try something during the match. So figured that. Now, what we were... The other thing that we... I'm just going to switch... No, okay. So one thing we did in the last match when... we were sort of talking about how our team was struggling a lot. I realised after the match that we had multiple... I'm not sure quite how we did it. You can obviously watch the video to see how we did it. But somehow I've ended up putting multiple players out of position. I ended up... this DMC here, he was in MC. And the player that was in DMC was an AMC and stuff. So we had a couple players out of position completely, which would have been really detrimental, because not only do they get penalties to the attributes for being out of position, but for example, the guy that ended up in DMC was this guy. So he's, not only getting a penalty to all this, but he only had 17 tackling to start with, and he was playing the destroyer role as a DMC. So yeah, completely total disaster pretty much. But somehow we managed to still I didn't realize that was what was at the time that they were out of position. But I could see that the match was going poorly because of it. And we did make changes fighting against the Green to grind out a result, but obviously that was much more difficult than it needed to be because of that. So for now, I think it's just what else were we looking at? I'm going to just quickly set back. It's a bit dangerous, but maybe not that much. So this is how we were going in the previous game. And our striker was... this was a striker up front. I guess I'll change it, right? And we had other players in these positions. So here is our fast striker, Surya, that's injured, was up there. Here was our MR, who is Basile, and he's injured now. So that's how we were set up. And I think when we were analysing the stats for all these positions, I think on the whole, now this our striker, that faster guy, he gets a lot varied flow of chances. Our striker in this tactic basically gets chances of different types. Sometimes they can be balls that they're running onto, and if they got the guy who has the speed, he can utilize that basically. Other times it's sort of like cutbacks, long shots. They're typically from good angles, but sometimes he ends up in bad angles. But we've managed to restrict that quite a bit. So, I mean, we've managed to set it up so that he's typically not drifting a lot. The other players are doing the drifting. He's staying central. So, on the whole, it's really good. There's like a constant flow and a variety of the types of chances coming to our striker. That's great. So in regards to us looking for strikers in the future, it's quite flexible. We can sort of go for any. They just want them to generally be good, and we'll be able to tweak things a bit to try to just get the most out of them by changing the roles and doing some other bits. But yeah, we're totally happy with different types of strikers. We're just looking for quality basically overall, and we'll be able to. Well, that's great that we're not sort of... this tactic doesn't force us to have to get any specific type of striker here. That flexibility is going to help us to get sort of value, let's say, like a good quality player without having to pay crazy amount of money for them, because we have that flexibility. So this player here one of the creative forward, this Carter guy, he's probably the star of the show overall. You can see here 6 games, 4 assists, 4 goals, 3 assists, 2 man of the matches. One of the games he had 20 pass attempts and completed 19 of them. He's scored some crazy good long shots. He's heavily involved he gets shots. He's heavily involved in the build-up play. He's assisting things. He's like really critical, basically. So, when we're looking for players here, we're just looking for basically being able to create stuff and generally being really good because they're getting so much of the ball and also really good long shots. So this guy, for example, he's pretty good across the board or whatever, but it's certainly a player that it's totally possible to get a player better than this over time. And this guy could end up being the backup potentially for this sort of role. So, but it's definitely, he's doing really well, and it's a very interesting. It sort of seems like it's a key position for this tactic. It's does a lot. Looking back through all the matches and all the stats, it's doing a lot. This guy here is also doing quite a bit on the attacking end, getting quite a few shots, constantly getting shots in every match. They're always these long shots from right on the top, good angle, not too long as well, like just outside the box, sort of long. And he's also setting up a bit as well. Where is he? This guy here. So yeah, he scored 2, he's assisted 5. And you can look at this player, and the decent good long shots, we'll be able to get that. But also, he's not particularly good at anything else. That's why we just set him up to get the most out of his long shots, mostly. So we can definitely improve on this guy. When we're looking out for a player of this position, we want someone who can pass really well and someone with really good long shots. And just otherwise, we'll be just generally looking for some quality. This Creek guy in this role here, that he's been intercepting, dribbling a bit, passing a bit, tackling a bit, doing a bit of headers. Basically, just a total jack of all trades at the moment in this tactic. So we're just basically just looking for a central midfielder that's just can do a bit of everything, and they're probably the easiest ones to find, to be honest. So, so that's good. Not really attempting shots, so we don't care about that. Don't care about his shots at all. All these other guys are moving up to attempt the shots. So, so we've got a pretty good idea, is all I'm saying, about the types of players we'd be looking for. But now, because of these injuries, we're going to try something different. We're going to play this. We'll just push them up. They're not a very good player, so it's just we'll see what the interactions are like up here in this little area when they're no good, basically. And I'm going to just try something different. I'm going to switch him back to this side, which we didn't like. And move the destroyer here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a different role. I'm going to go box to box and see what that does, because he'll be up here and come back here. So it'll be a bit interesting. I think the issue is when we're attacking, he will come up to help. So when we give up the ball, it's not that imbalanced, if you know what I mean. As in, like, we're not going to funnel everything through the right side like we are at the moment, but it is a little bit, because this is still back, this extra player's on this side, so it's a little bit, we'll see. At the moment, we're not too worried about having to funnel everything down the right, because the right wing is really bad anyway. So this is just an experiment, really, to see how it's going to affect the flow, and so on. I mean, at its core here, we're really, in the end, just sort of, I honestly think it would be, he's going to move it back. In the end, I think this is a type of, I think I mentioned this before, but ideally this DMC would be an MC with the defensive midfielder role back here, or some like ball-winning midfielder or defensive midfielder sort of thing. He would be up, he would be central, he would be attacking winger. I feel like this is, in the end, what you would want something like. So it's really a 3-5-1-1, but we're just not like this because just because he can't play those positions, basically. So we're just making the best with what we got and trying different things. That's the thing. We're just trying things and learning it as we go, making adjustments, working out. And this exercise is very, very useful from the perspective that if we're constantly doing this and constantly thinking in these terms and constantly trying different things like this, and always paying attention. Whenever we get any injuries to players and things like that, like we have a much clearer idea about, okay, this guy's injured, so we can go back and do this because we're not trying random things when players get injured. We're doing controlled, deliberate, well thought out things when players get injured, things that make sense. So yeah, we're just going to try this with this guy coming up and back. The other thing that I thought about was to sort of offset that guy there and put this guy here up and back. That was the other thing I thought about. We could try that in the match as well, though. So for now, I'm going to do it like this, and we'll just see what happens. So we'll play our match. Oh, sorry. The other thing in the tactics that I did is I kind of just set everything back to the middle. Just backing off still, just because we don't really have anything on the bench we can use, so we just don't want our players to generally get tired. I think ideally that for us would be able to change that to balanced. What we should be doing is to remember to change it to balanced, like in the second half or halfway through the second half. If we can just remember to do that consistently, we should be doing that. And then the fast tempo in particular, I think I would rather be playing a more balanced tempo, at least to start with each match. But the issue with that is that our better passing players are the ones, I mean, it's different because of injuries, but generally is this Carter guy up the top, and what we don't, and our sort of more central midfielders here in the middle, they're not. Our middle rank basically is not particularly good at passing. So if we play the slower tempo, we'll be looking to constantly lay it back from the players who can pass really well, back to the players who can't. So that's not great. I'd much rather, for example, when Carter gets the ball, he's just looking to shoot or to pass to create a chance or something. So that's why I think in the future, if we picking up the central midfielders, in particular these two guys, neither of these will be around long term. When we get a couple of central midfielders that do these roles that also have the passing, which we definitely would want, then we would have an option for the other like slow tempo or balanced tempo, and in particular the slow tempo could be a really way for us to close matches out. I feel like we've got a lot of triangles. We should be able to retain possession really well. Anyway, we're going to roll with this. We're going to see what happens. Right, White Rabbit team. Just having a bit of a last minute check. I don't think any of these players are back from injury yet. We do get back our defender. So, yeah, I almost forgot that we managed to be getting through these last few matches and getting some win results, even with a horrible backline here, quite frankly. Like, I think this guy's got, like, slow in particular. Like, he's good tackling with about 26 speed. 51 and 31. It really is. It's like horrible situation. At least this guy can really, like, you can definitely have one slow defender and that can and compensate for that in the setup. But yeah, not two super slow ones and no fast ones back there, and no fullbacks. Like it's something that we'll be looking forward to getting our player back. The other thing I changed our kit. Like I said, I made us yellow and blue, and then the thing I did, I gave us stripes as well. So even if the team now is yellow or blue shirts, we should be able to tell the difference a bit better. So straight away, good chance. Little quick cutback and boom, goal. For our poacher role player. It's always the type of start you want to see. It's quite, it'd be quite funny in a way if they just happen to score right away. Ooh, they nearly did. I'm not really, I'll just wait a bit. I'm not really seeing anything much to, like, one thing that potentially is very weird always when you play a match like this and you score straight away. Like, you should be tempted to do something, especially now. They come back, they had that corner, had another cross. Like, it kind of feels like we scored or whatever, but other than that, it's kind of all them. But it's also only right at the start of the match still, so it can be one of the more confusing sort of I don't know, confusing, but one of the more like, what am I supposed to? Should I change something? Should I change something? But I think not. I think it's better, especially for, like, again at the moment, like, yeah. So that one was here, just inside the box at the top, decent angle, quite a bit of space when he got it. Yeah. So I was basically saying, I think not just on the basis that despite, like, in the end, you know, we're building a tactic here to try to be creating these good, solid types of chances, and at the end of the day, it's kind of going, here's another one, it could be 3. So yeah, it definitely was a right decision to leave it. Just trying to sort of elaborate why it isn't just because we scored another goal. We could have had that chance and missed, and it still would be the right move. And also, they could have just scored. We could have not scored that goal. They could score now. I still feel like it would be the right move. You just don't want to. You don't want to take unnecessary risks when you're winning. And basically, like, changing anything is always a risk, because you're going from, like, a known state of play to what is effectively, like, you've changed things. So now you don't know what the state. It's an unknown state of play. So changing anything is always risky to some degree, no matter what it is. Like, and instead we, like, and now we're winning 3-0, and it's probably game over. And actually, maybe we might have been tempted, like, oh, we got a quick goal and they had a couple chances. Let's change something, go more defensive or whatever. And instead we're, like, under pressure the whole match. We 1-0 up the whole game, and then they score at the end or something, and it's 1-1. And instead, we're 27 minutes in and 3-0 up, and it's basically game over. I'm just trying to think at this point what more useful we can get out of this game. Obviously, we want to still play it through and win. Again, very interesting, right? Because they've had more territory and possession. And we're not too bothered about. Occasionally they'll have a little pot shot you're not too happy about, but our tactics have been pretty good on the whole, I think. Like, most of the shots that we're taking are shots that I'm just totally happy that our team is taking. I think we've got things set up pretty decently on the whole, especially when you consider that most of the players we're using, you know, from the starting squad, and quite a few of these are pretty bad. Like, we're not. I think we've got a decent foundation here to build upon. I'm kind of warming to the tactic. I do hold reservations about. It's going to be super tricky to get it defensively stable, but kind of fun, you know, because it's, to some degree, that's just a natural consequence of if you that we've got really good sort of attacking play. Like, it's very, you've got to sort of have a balance to everything, obviously, but it's kind of, I guess, balanced to some degree is what I guess what I'm trying to say is that the fact that we have only got 3 defenders, you sort of expect that it's going to be a bit tricky, and that is something that's going to have to be juggled. Now our really creative player is injured. That's not good. So, to some degree, the challenge, one of the best solutions to the problem, really, is just scoring 3 goals at the start of the match. That does a lot to just help you win. So, I guess one solution to, like, relieving a lot of defensive pressure is to constantly be attacking as well. So, just got to get the whole balance right, I think. Yeah. I think this is a good trial run. Unfortunately, now our really creative guy is injured, so we'll play them out the rest of this match. As far as injuries work, when they get this, they can still play the rest of the match, but after this they'll get injured for a certain number of matches. If you leave them on, it's not the case that they're going to like double break their leg, or I don't know, they're not going to get double injured sort of thing. It's possible the game may change at some point in the future, so that there will be forced substitutions here, but at the moment there isn't. So when this happens, typically, like you can, if you need to win the match or do things, it can definitely make sense to sum off. But otherwise, you just can okay to leave it. Yeah. So, and he still scores. Yeah, obviously, it's okay to leave him. I mean, and if you, yeah. So if we bring another guy on, for example, like the other guy we bring on might also get injured. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. So for now, like if we want to try to get as least amount of players as injured as possible, kind of makes sense to just leave this guy on because he's already injured anyway. So, I'm not quite sure what our match objectives are from this point. I really just want to play it out to analyse the stats at the end. I don't really want to randomly change things. I would like to get the same formation playing all the way through so we can analyse stuff. I do not believe they are going to score 4 goals. They did have a good chance. They could have scored one, but 1 is not 4. And they didn't score it, so they would still... I feel like, yeah, they could still score a goal. This is what I'm saying, but I just don't feel like they're going to score 4. I think that is our first ever hat-trick for our club. So it was scored by the slower striker. I think he's like 50-something speed. This guy's just quite well-rounded. So that's quite interesting. We had a fast one out there all that time, and I'm not sure he ever scored. He scored 2 goals in the game, but I think one of them was a penalty, so I don't think he scored more than 1 goal in the game from open play. This guy's got 3. In fact, I think they both got 4 goals from open play. Or the other striker might even have 2 penalties, actually. Yeah. Anyway, they've scored the same amount of goals maybe in open play as each other, but the other guy's starting all the games. This guy's been off the bench, so it's his first start. So I'm just going to stop it now. Yeah, because scoring goals isn't everything though either, by the way. So for a striker, what matters is if you're winning them, is your team scoring more goals than their team? Your striker can do other things to help your team other than score goals. He can create space for other players, help your other players score, be like running onto the ball and dribbling a lot and end up missing shots or getting tackled or whatever, but he can take time to do that. Can alleviate a lot of pressure from your defensive unit. So right, so we've got... Did he just get injured as well? I don't know. He's injured. I'm not sure what we... can't even remember what's what anymore. Right, 2 players with knocks. So we will just pause again. We're going to make the triple sub. And... guess we're going to do a centre-half. And... And this guy, I'm not sure what was supposed to... Yeah, and him, and I guess we'll swap our box-to-box midfielder for this guy, change him to a central midfielder because he's super slow, so we won't get back up and forth in time, and... I guess our goalkeeper, so we don't want our goalkeeper to get injured, let's just do that. There wasn't really any other subs I wanted to make. The only player we could sub this guy off really for would be that right back, and I just want to leave. I wanted to leave the formation largely intact, so I could properly analyze the stats at the end in a meaningful way. So I didn't want to compromise that. It's a bad game. So yeah. Can we get one last shot? Nope. That was very, very comfortable. Look at that. And then you look, they had way more territory, more possession, same amount of shots. It's like you look at the match stats and it's like that was a really balanced game. You know, we just completely basically dominated that from start to finish. Maybe they could have scored one goal type of thing. That was like the most straightforward, most comfortable win just about ever. And yet, if you looked at the match stats at the end, you would think otherwise. If you didn't know better, anyway, you would think otherwise. But those stats largely don't. Yeah, they're just not that important. They're just a factor. They're one piece of information out of many. Right, 2 more players out injured. I feel like at this point, at least, I'm not sure that the thing is, we're not necessarily trying to win anything, but we are trying to do constructive videos. I'm deliberating over whether we will. What we can do is we can go to our medical center and we can use a treatment to heal our injured players. Now we only get to do it once in the whole season. But we don't really care too much about the fact that some players are injured and that we have to try different things. It's just, specifically at the moment, like, we don't really have... We just stretch way too thin because we've only had 1 day of scouting pool and we've been trying to play all of these matches because we've only had 1 day left in the league period. So I feel like in other weekly leagues, like we'll be able to buy, we'll end up picking up a couple more players and this whole thing will just be way easier to juggle. But for now, it's like, it feels like we're just randomly, like, yeah, it just feels like what we want to do is be refining this and working out exactly what players we want to buy and start putting together a tactic. That's how I'm sort of feeling in regards to this tutorial being useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the treatment now, so we can start trying to put together what is our final version of this, not final, but you know, our final initial version of this tactic to start sort of putting it all together. So medical center, let's use our treatment, plus we get to show you how to use the treatment. So there you go, you click your treatment and boom, our players are treated. Now we only get to do that once the whole season, so yeah, normally you wouldn't want to be picking the perfect time for that, but now for us we can let's deselect these players. And I'm going to remove these for now. Actually, I want to keep him. That guy I just relegated out. The right back we don't want. I'm going to go back to the U squad. I'm going to put that guy maybe on the bench. Possibly. At least at some point. So we can sub off our right midfielder when the games are kind of over. And then the other thing is this guy here. He ends up on the bench. He's not in. This guy's back to the bench. Not. Oh, He can't go to the under 21 team because he's 22. Right, going to put this guy back into the team. And him back into the team. And him back into the team. Right. Now what have we got left? We need a 4th sub. That's what we need. And it can either be, I think, is the left midfielder or the right midfielder. I feel like the right one we probably do because instead of the left, just because this is a more attacking role here. So if he ends up subbing in the attack, whereas this one we want more as a defending and attacking role, so it doesn't make sense to sub him off for the AML if we get a choice. This is just closing out the matches, just to prevent. If you sub a player off, then if they're not playing, they won't get injured, basically. So a good way to protect your players from being injured is to sub them off. So, right. So this is the setup. So yeah, I'm inclined to just leave this sort of all super balanced thing as it is and jump into another match. Now, one thing first I'll do though is I'm going to check the stats for this match. Now, it was a very one-sided affair. So in the outcome, and we were definitely in control from start to finish. But the stats here is, let's say balanced. In regards to the stats, I just sort of wanted to check in particular our little change. Everybody was sort of involved. Look, they're very distributed, really, in regards to. So our box-to-box midfielder did not get involved that much. It didn't really help. I mean, we threw him onto the left side, out of the way to where most of our play was going. So what do they get? 3 pass attempts, 1 header, 1 dribble attempt. They did do 3 tackle attempts. They have 1 shot. So they did. So interestingly, at least on this one match, and it's just one match at the end of the day, we'd have to play a few. I'm going to play at least one more to get a better feel for that. I mean, the other thing as well, we're just missing so many of our normal sort of team. So this might be a better test, let's say. I think my concern is, 1, they tire a bit faster, so more chance you have to sub them off. 2, that when we attack, he will be up. This guy will be up. This guy will be up. So when we attack and it breaks down, there's kind of no one in the whole middle. That's kind of a concern. That's the. On the flip side, when we're defending, he does come back to help defend. So, because at the moment there really is only sort of 4 people who are going to defend. This guy will, get back to help a bit, but at the end of the day, he's out on the left wing. So it does, having this extra player to help out defend. He had those 3 tackle attempts. So we'll see if that remains a thing. We also have to bear in mind that we did dominate that game, so it's just a one-off game. Like I said, we'll get it. We'll play another one to get a better feel for that. But Okay, this is very good. Oh, it was a bad cross, but it was a good situation to create. Not overly eventful. I mean, just making thoughts, making observations. When there's something sort of clear to point out, I'll do that. For now, like, I think generally though, as I said before, like, this type of start is, you generally want your tactics set up so that this is sort of the case, so you can get a feel for how it's unfolding, make some changes, and sort of not concede a goal early, so you're sort of okay. And this is the best situation that's been created in the match. And a goal. So there you go. It's, and all of a sudden now you're saying, well, we're not really creating a lot, but neither are they, and we're winning 1-0. So this is that sort of situation again where it's more risk, like changing anything is risk, and we don't want to be taking the risks. Unnecessary risks, let's say. If, for example, we were spotting out some very specific thing, we wanted to make a specific change for a specific reason, to do a specific thing, sure. But if we're talking about just, oh, we're winning, let's just randomly change roles to be more defensive for no particular reason because we want to say we're defending the lead, like, that's not a good idea when you're in control of a match. If you are not in control, you're winning 1-0 and they're just having shot after shot after shot after shot after shot, then that's different. I mean, that's a shot, and it was not, it's from about here. It wasn't a good angle. It's exactly the type of shot that we would be happy to give up lots of shots from there. So again, just happy to give that up. So we're not seeing anything yet that concerns me. It'd be a bit different, like if we weren't winning right now. That was a decent chance, better than any of their chances. It might be a bit different. I might be trying to, like, definitely be thinking about what changes we need to make in order to try to open up some more chances. Because the chance flow isn't, like, at the moment we've had a couple or whatever, but we're not creating enough chance at the moment where I'll be feeling like, oh, we are absolutely guaranteed to score at least one more goal this match. I don't feel that way at all. But I'm also not that confident that they're doing much to score. Like, they might. They've had some chances, but they're probably, I feel like on the whole, like, we've got more chance of scoring a second goal than they do of the first. As I was saying that, obviously they're just forced to save. They've got a set piece now. It can always be a bit dangerous. There you go. Wasn't directly offered, obviously, it pinged around a bit first. So now we are in that situation where, what I was trying to say before, where, maybe we need to be looking to change something to be a little bit more attacking going forwards. I'm not sure, because we still were creating a bit. Not a chance that I'm happy about. I'm going to pause. I'm going to try and change something now that we're not winning. I do feel like we are there a bit, but I'm going to just change that type to direct just for the last 6 minutes. I mean, it's not great to be hitting, like, because our striker's about to go below 80%. As soon as he does that, I might just change that back. Yeah, okay. So basically that was just a waste of time. Okay. But we'll get to half time. We'll have 1 minute 45 seconds, and we'll think it over. So our striker will go below 80%. I feel like maybe the change is just we'll sub the striker off, and gosh, we left him on poacher roll. Okay. Yep, well, that wasn't good. It's like the wrong role. We wanted him to be helping with the build-up play a lot more, getting involved a lot more. So yeah, it wasn't good. So yeah, unfortunate. Need to pay attention to these things more. Now I'm just quickly checking all the other roles. I think everything... Nope. This guy should be ball playing cover. We forgot to change that back when he came in. So yeah, not great. I need to remember to change them after this match is finished at the very least. But hopefully that mistake does not cost us the game. Although, the thing is, mistakes can completely do that. There isn't, if you want to win as often as possible, you need to not make any mistakes. That's what it comes down to. It's all about trying to be as optimal as possible. It's going to run out of play. And our right midfielder is getting tired. So I guess it was the right decision to have the right winger on the bench from the youth team. I think I'll leave this play out though, even though we may not win. I'm not confident about it. I do feel like it's just can just go either way. But I do want to again, just try and keep it as intact as possible just for the analysis of this box-to-box midfielder role. How that's working for us. So. Oh, there we go, straight back in it. I was just starting to think about what we might be able to, how we roll the dice to take a risk to get back into the game, but now we don't have to. So unpause. I was thinking about making the left midfielder like attacking wing to get him forward a bit more. Right, I'm going to do the sub. I think just in particular, like we'll do the right midfielder. And I guess we will sub this guy as well. Right, so the reason why I changed him to defensive midfielder from destroyer is because he's just not anywhere near as good at tackling. So we're just more bothered about him not sort of completely focusing on the tackles, but to also just be more sort of balanced care about holding, defending the space, the position, picking up interceptions, whatever. So. I feel like he's got a bit of space to operate there, to be honest. That's a decent chance. I might change him to attacking midfielder role just to try and snatch a win here. If I get the chance. Oh, that was a great chance there. It was a really, really good one. Alright, attacking winger. We'll do what we said. I won't change the closing down. I was going to say I'll try and do that, but I'm not going to because we've got so many players on the brink of being near 80%, so we want to try and keep them above 80 as long as possible here. That's also why we have to play the backing off, is just because otherwise all these players would be below. So we've got no subs left either, and we'd have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra players now, like in the getting extra attribute point penalties for being too tired. So, all right, we've got a corner. Because we're not playing. We don't get that many basically corners, but how we've been playing our tactic. So, okay, it shows we don't. We don't get anything much off of it, but do we get one more chance here? No, we don't. I don't think we will. Yeah, okay. Well, we did... it was an interesting match, really. I think this one in particular was very balanced. This is one of those ones where you look at the stats and it looks very balanced, and in reality it also was a very balanced match. It could definitely have gone other way. As they say for that one in particular, a draw was indeed a fair result, but we were not bothered about... I mean, obviously, as we were saying, we could try and a bit... One of the main things we did want to maintain was our our tactic, so we could just get a feel for this role, this box-to-box, to see how involved they are. Now, this match, they actually had more pass attempts. 8... 3 headers, some dribbles. That's assists, I think. So they even got an assist. 2 tackle attempts. 2 intercepts. So this is more what I was... they didn't have a shot, but this is way more of what I was sort of trying to do with it. This change was to just get this player more involved. To sort of try to get it set up so everybody's involved. And I feel like this is... You can see here, like, everyone was getting a decent amount of pass attempts. So yeah, I feel like that's the case. It might be... I'll give it another try. Thing is, you're playing against different teams, and you just different teams, different players, different tactics. It's going to always work out different. You just got to be adjusting stuff. So I'm going to give it another try on the next video. But on the whole, I'm alright about that. I'm feeling like it's good. We'll stop this video. We'll start another one.